Hello dear students, before we start learning today's topic, let us have a brief recap of what important topics we have discussed till now. From the lectures that have been discussed for this chapter, the important topics to learn and to remember properly is the structure of human eye, different parts of human eye, their functions, the label diagram of human eye. Then you should know what is the definition of power of accommodation. You should know what is the near point and far point of human eye. Then, yesterday the most important topics that we discussed were different defects of vision. So, namely we are discussing three defects of vision over here, that is myopia, hypermetropia and presbyopia. For each defect, you should know what actually that defect means, that what is the problem faced in that defect, what are the reasons behind that defect, and what are the curative measures or how those defects can be corrected. For myopia and hypermetropia, you should also know how to draw the ray diagrams for the normal eye, for the eye having the defect, and the ray diagram after the corrective measure has been taken. That means after you are using a concave lens or a convex lens to correct the defect depending upon the nature of the defect. So now we are going to discuss refraction of light through a prism. Now dear friends, we already discussed refraction of light through a rectangular glass slab in the earlier chapter. So here also the rules followed will be same. That is, when a ray of light enters from one transparent medium to another transparent medium, its direction will change, and that change in direction is known as refraction. So here also when a light enters from one medium to other, there will be refraction. The difference in rectangular glass slab and prism is that their opposite sides, the arrangement their opposite sides is different. So the result obtained will be slightly different, but the rules followed will be the same. Now an activity has been discussed in your textbook in which you are taking a glass prism, putting it on a white paper, drawing its outline. Then you will place pins at position P and Q on the side AB of the prism. Then you will move to the opposite side, that is on the side AC of the prism. You will try to get the images of those pins. Wherever you get the images of P and Q, you will mark that points as R and S and put another pins over there, connect that line. So after removing that pins and after looking at the drawing, you will see that PE will be the incident ray, that is the line on which you put the two original pins PQ. So here PE represents the incident ray. Now look at the diagram. You will see that at point E, the light ray enters from air to glass because the prism is made up of a glass material. So the medium changes. So if there was no refraction, then this ray would have moved straight and continued the path P, Q, G, H. But as I said that at point E, the medium changes. So there will be bending of this ray light, and you will find the EF, which is the ray that got bent, which we know as a refracted ray. So once again, looking at the diagram, PE is the incident ray. At point E, as the medium changes, the light ray will bend. That bent ray is represented as ray EF in the diagram. So we can say that this ray EF is the refracted ray. Now again, when this light ray enters or reaches at point F, then again the medium changes. After point F, the ray of light will leave the prism and enter the air. So as again the medium changes, there will be bending of light. And now the ray coming out of the prism from the face AC of the prism. You can see one face is AB, from where the light ray entered, and face AC of prism is where the light ray came out. It came out from F and continued to S. So you can say that ray Fs is the emergent ray. So once again, ray PE is the incident ray. At point E, as the medium change, the direction of the ray change. So EF became the refracted ray. Again at point F, the medium changes. So the ray Fs that emerged out of the face AC is known as emergent ray. Now why this thing happened? So the logic is same, just that we studied when we studied refraction of light through a rectangular glass slab. Here at face AB at point E, NN dash is the normal. So as you can see that as the ray of light entered from rarer medium to denser medium, there was bending of light towards the normal. Now on opposite face AC at point F, we have another normal, that is MM dash. At point F, as the ray of light is moving from denser medium to rarer medium, the ray will move away from the normal. So at one time it will move towards the normal, at one time it will move away from the normal. So this is how refraction of light takes place through a glass prism. We already studied what is PE, EF and Fs. P is the incident ray, EF is the refracted ray, and Fs is the emergent ray. Now the angle between the two faces of the prism, that is face AB and face AC, that angle is represented as angle A. So that angle A is known as angle of the prism. In short, the angle between the two faces of the prism is known as angle of prism. Now look at the diagram on the left hand side. PE is the incident ray and NN dash is the normal. So the angle between that normal and the incident ray, which is represented as I in your diagram, is known as angle of incidence. In the same way, on the opposite side of face AB, the angle between the refracted ray which is the refracted ray, EF is the refracted ray, and the normal is denoted by small r. This angle r is angle of refraction. Now move to the opposite phase, that is AC, where Fs is the emergent ray. So the angle between the emergent ray and the normal is represented as E, which is known as angle of emergence. So it's very easy to remember. The angle between the incident ray and normal is known as angle of incidence. The angle between the refracted ray and the normal is known as angle of refraction. And in the same way, the angle between the emergent ray and the normal is known as angle of emergence. Now, as I said, that if this incident ray had gone straight through, it would have continued its path PQGH, but instead it got refracted and its direction changed. So the change in direction is represented by angle D in your diagram, which is known as angle of deviation. That angle of deviation gives you the value by how much the incident ray got refracted. So it's very simple. You need to draw this diagram, label it properly, and understand all these terms by heart. Now, we will study about the dispersion of white light through a glass prism. We all know that sunlight or any white light is made up of 7 colors. Now, when a white light beam is made incident on one face of the prism, you get a band of 7 colors. That band of 7 colors is known as spectrum on the opposite side of the prism. So in this particular topic, we will try to understand that why white light splits into 7 colors when it passes through a glass prism. As I said, that white light gets dispersed or gets divided into 7 colors by a prism. The reason behind it is that as this white light is made up of 7 colors, when they enter from air to prism, that is from rarer medium to denser medium, different colors undergo different bending. That is, bending of all colors is not the same. The red light bends the least. So as its bending is minimum, as you can see in the diagram, red color is obtained at the top of the spectrum. Contrary to it, opposite to it, violet color gets maximum bend. As you can see in the diagram, maximum deviation is of violet color. So it is obtained at the bottom of the spectrum. So as I said, the band of those 7 distinct colors that is obtained when a white light is made to pass through a glass prism, that band of 7 colors is known as spectrum. And this phenomenon, that is dividing white light into 7 colors, is known as dispersion of light. Now again, as I said, that when this white light enters the glass prism, you can say that it is entering from a rarer medium to denser medium. Hence, this light has to undergo deviation, or this light has to undergo some bending. But as this white light is made up of 7 colors, the extent of bending ये जो 7 कलर है उसका जो बेंड होने का जो एंगल है वो सेम नहीं है। हर कलर का जो बेंडिंग एंगल है वो अलग रहता है, यानी हर एक कलर बेंड तो होता है लेकिन द एक्सटेंट ऑफ बेंडिंग इज नॉट द सेम। जैसा कि हमने डायग्राम में देखा, जो रेड कंपोनेंट ऑफ व्हाइट लाइट है, जो रेड लाइट है, उसका बेंडिंग सबसे कम होता है। सो एज अ रीजन, as the red light is getting bent minimum, it is obtained at the top of the spectrum। उसका बेंडिंग सबसे कम हुआ है तो वो जो रेड कलर का जो पार्ट है वो स्पेक्ट्रम में सबसे ऊपर आएगा। उससे ऑपोजिट बात करें तो जो वायलेट कलर है उसका बेंडिंग सबसे ज्यादा होता है। सो एज वायलेट colored light gets bent maximum, it is obtained at the bottom of the spectrum। Now the 7 colors of the spectrum, उसको याद करने के लिए एक्रोनिम दिया हुआ है विबग्योर, जो नीचे से ऊपर चालू करते हैं। V stands for violet, I stands for indigo, B stands for blue, सिमिलरली ग्रीन, येलो, ऑरेंज एंड रेड। तो हमको एक एक्रोनिम याद रखना है विबग्योर, VIBGYOR, which stands for 7 colors of spectrum। We see such spectrum in nature also when we see a formation of a rainbow। Now, Newton was the first scientist who used the glass prism to obtain spectrum of sunlight। Sunlight is also a form of white light. So Newton was the first scientist who used this prism and got the band of 7 colors and said that sunlight is made up of 7 different colors। Now after getting the spectrum of 7 colors, Newton tried to find out that if two prisms are kept side by side, then will he get more colors? So from one white color, when he put one prism, he got a spectrum of 7 colors. Now he wanted to incident that spectrum of 7 colors to another prism, and he wanted to find out whether those 7 colors split into 49 or not. However, when he performed that experiment, he found that when this 7 colored spectrum is made incident on another prism, all these 7 colors recombine। वो अलग नहीं होते, वो combine हो जाते हैं। And when they recombine, they again get converted back into white light। Now have a look at the diagram on your screen. There are two prisms. One prism is upright and second prism is put in inverted position in such a way that their two faces remain parallel to each other। Now on the left prism, white light is made incident. When white light is incident at that point, it undergoes refraction, and on the opposite face you will get a spectrum of 7 colors. Here only 2 colors, that is the topmost color and the bottommost color, are shown in the diagram, where R stands for red, which undergoes minimum deviation, and V stands for violet, which undergoes maximum deviation। So from opposite face of prism 1, you get a band of 7 colors. This band of 7 colors is incident on the second prism, which is put upside down. Now there, Thus, this spectrum of 7 colors will recombine, and when they will recombine, you will see that on the second face of the second prism, the emergent light is again white. So it is safe to assume that when white light is incident on one face of prism, it undergoes refraction, it gets converted into spectrum of 7 colors. And when this band of 7 colors is made incident on another prism, opposite thing happens, means the split light recombines, and after recombination it gets converted into white light. The last topic of the day is the rainbow formation. Now this is important question that might be asked for 3 marks. In certain papers I have seen this question asked even for 4 marks. So you have to learn this theory along with the diagram. The rainbow formation is similar to the refraction of light that we saw using a glass prism. In glass prism we saw that when white light is incident on a glass prism, it gets dispersed and you get a spectrum of 7 colors. In the same way, in rainbow formation, the tiny droplets of water which is present in the atmosphere after rainfall acts like tiny prisms, and then they will refract or they will disperse the white sunlight, and then white sunlight gets divided into 7 colors. So as the raindrop is spherical in shape, you see that rainbows are also spherical in shape. So let us study the formation of rainbow. When do we see a rainbow? The first point, a rainbow is a natural spectrum that appears in the sky after a rain shower. As I said, that it is caused due to dispersion of sunlight by tiny water droplets which are suspended in air after a shower. Now the rule is that rainbow is always formed or observed in the direction opposite to that of sun. So if you are seeing a rainbow, that means your back will be facing the sun. It is always opposite to the direction of the sun. So how does this refraction take place? From where does this prism came? As I said, the water droplets present in atmosphere acts like small prisms. They refract and disperse the incident sunlight. The ray light also goes internal reflection and one more refraction before it comes out of the raindrop, due to which dispersion of white light and internal reflection takes place, and you get different colors that reach the observer's eye. Now have a look at the diagram over here for better understanding. On the right hand side of your slide, a raindrop is shown. Now as you can see that sunlight gets incident at this point, at the first point. As the medium changes from air to raindrop, there is refraction. Okay, so here we see a refracted ray. At the opposite end of the raindrop, at this particular point, we saw internal reflection. Raindrop के अंदर रे रिफ्लेक्ट होके वापस आता है तो उसको बोलते हैं इंटरनल रिफ्लेक्शन. जो रिफ्लेक्टेड रे है वो रेनड्रॉप के नीचे के वाले हिस्से पे पहुंचेगा, वहां पे अगेन मीडियम चेंज होता है तो रिफ्रैक्शन ऑफ लाइट होगा. वहां पे रिफ्रैक्शन ऑफ लाइट होगा. व्हाइट लाइट है वो 7 डिफरेंट कलर से बनी हुई है, इस वजह से व्हाइट लाइट है वो 7 कलर्स में स्प्लिट होगी, एंड दैट्स व्हाई we will get a spectrum of 7 colors which is known as rainbow. तो फिर से आप डायग्राम को जरा ध्यान से देखेंगे तो आपको लगेगा कि सनलाइट इंसिडेंट होता है तो पहले एक जगह पे रिफ्रैक्शन ऑफ लाइट होता है, फिर जब वो रेन ड्रॉप की ऑपोजिट साइड पे जाता है वहां से उसका इंटरनल रिफ्लेक्शन होता है, रिफ्लेक्शन होने के बाद एक और बार उस लाइट का रिफ्रैक्शन होता है जिसकी वजह से जो लाइट है उसका डिस्पर्जन हो जाता है, यानी इन अदर वर्ड्स जो व्हाइट लाइट है वो 7 कलर्स में डिवाइड हो जाती है एंड देन वी गेट अ रेनबो. So if you want to see a rainbow on a sunny day, जब शावर नहीं हो रहा है, रेन नहीं हो रहा है, तो भी ये पॉसिबल है. हाउ? You can also see a rainbow on a sunny day when you look at the sky through a waterfall or through a water fountain. तो अगर आप अपने घर के गार्डन में खड़े हैं और आपके पास पाइप है जिससे आप पौधों को पानी पिला रहे हो, तो इफ यू मेक अ फाउंटेन ऑफ दैट, उसे एक शावर जैसा आर्टिफिशियल क्रिएट करोगे और ऐसे खड़े रहोगे कि सनलाइट आपकी बैक साइड पे है, देन यू विल बी एबल टू सी द रेनबो. सो अगेन, formation of rainbow is an important question. You need to learn it properly with the help of diagram. We will discuss other phenomena which are related to light, like twinkling of stars, the color of the sky, and many other phenomena, the early sunrise, the delayed sunset, and all other topics in the next lecture. So today you need to go through the slides properly, hear to them once or twice till the concept is clear. And from today's topic, experiment part is not that much important, but you need to learn that thing. The most important theory that we did today is the formation of rainbow. So I have already sent you the notes. So from that, make sure that you learn it properly. If it is necessary, write down the theory for 2-3 times and learn it properly along with the diagram. Thank you.